Another video, and it's time for another ranking video. Yeah, I'm behind as usual. This is my top 10 from 2010, so we're still a decade in arrears. I have to say there's quite a few albums in this list and in my honourable mentions that I've actually got full reviews for on the channel. So I will be leaving the links to those full reviews in the description if you want to find out a little bit more. But let's get started with those honourable mentions. There were quite a few really. Thank you, Mr. Churchill. Tremendous return to form from the guitarist and legend Peter Frampton, talking about how he was conceived. Not in a great deal of detail, it has to be said. It's a fine album for guitar connoisseurs. No better than this, John Mellencamp, another strong set of songs from John. And I have a review to this one, so I won't go into it that much. And an album that I recently got hold of, courtesy of the digital gramophone, Deer Hunter, Halcyon Digest, sort of indie band with some originality and some style, and I enjoyed it. Valhalla Dance Hall from British Sea Power, they're a sort of post-punk sort of rock band, and that is also reviewed and the description there. Band of Joy by Robert Plant, resuscitating the original band name for Robert way back before Led Zeppelin, and this is a strong set. Silver Rider is one that comes to mind, and then the Ocean Colour scene, they to me get put in the same box as Paul Weller. Steve Craddock, of course, is in the Ocean Colour scene. I think it's great indie pop, and their album Saturday. And then we've got Keith Richards, a rare solo from him, Vintage Vinos, which I really like. And the honourable mentions, The Promise by Bruce Springsteen. He gathered together a lot of outtakes and other versions of his Darkness on the Edge of Town sessions. So say no more really. It's an absolutely delectable version of Racing in the Street, plus Because the Night. And then finally on my mentions, Who We Touch, another solid album from the Charlatans, the Manchester-based band that crop up in my top 10 often. My Foolish Pride and Your Pure Soul. So those are the honourable mentions. And do put yours down in my comments as well, please. I forgot two, in fact, on the honourable mentions, so let's just chip in with those. A very good album by a band called Cherry Ghost, their second offering, Beneath the Burning Shoreline. And this is again an indie band from the UK, and they add a lot of arrangements that make it very, 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 very pleasant listen. And then the last one, Eric Clapton's album, just called Clapton. Well, it's par for the course for him. And what do you expect from Eric? Well, you get a bit of blues, you get a bit of country rock, you get a little bit of contemporary and a little bit of acoustic sort of blues in there as well. So let's now get on to the top 10. And at number 10 is Vampire Weekend, a Contra. This is an album that I haven't played that much, but it's a very distinctive sound, very original sound, with some very poignant lyrics. How to describe the band? Well, it's sort of in the indie rock, but the voice is very, very distinctive. And it's got sort of very sort of electronic aspects to it. And the best of the tracks on this album is Horchata, which was a single. Okay, and then Wake Up the Nation by Paul Weller. a review for this one in the description. A solid piece of work by Paul, but he's always pushing the boundaries, always dipping into something a little bit different with his use of synthesizers, arrangements, etc. But still the underlying sort of jam-like mod sound. Rocking Chair is fantastic, as is How Deep Is the Ocean, and I like That's No Way to Get Along. Lots of references really to early Kinks and The Who. Well, he is the mod father, isn't he? At 8. Got the running order here. So 10 was Clapton by Eric Clapton. 9 was Contra by Vampire Weekend. And Wake Up the Nation was number 8. Got that sorted out. Let's go to 7 now. This is an album by Youssou N'Dour, the Senegalese artist, an artist that I first came into contact with musically in '85. I love his material, and he released an album called Dakar Kingston, which was basically a mix of his Senegalese style of music, Mabalux, with reggae. And is it good? Yes, it is. It's fantastic. If you're a lover of reggae, you'll love this. And if you're a lover of Mabalux, Senegalese, traditional music, you'll love Youssou's shift into reggae. Top tracks here: Bamba, Joker, and Marley. Wonder why. At number 6 is an album called The Archandroid by a new artist to me, Janelle Monáe. This is absolutely brilliant, this album. It's got lots of R&B enraptured there, with Prince influenced soul and very, very futuristic style of music. Tremendous arrangements, very original, and this was her debut album. She subsequently made a couple more which are equal standouts. What I find fantastic about this is we can be listening to something that sort of resembles R&B disco 1 minute, and then we're into a ballady arrangement the next minute, and then we shift into some electronic wizardry, and Janelle's vocals are at the front of all of it, and she is also very influenced by the Purple One. So get to listen to it. It's called The Archandroid by Janelle Monáe. Now, and this is the latest album by Elvis Costello. It's called National Ransom. It follows on, I think, very neatly from the album that I put in the top 20, I think, in 2009, Sugarcane Profane. I got the title wrong as usual. It's of a similar ilk. It's very heavily Americanized, this album, full of Americana and country blues and country rock, and he's doing the job in a way that's absolutely brilliant. He's still got T-Bone Burnett in the production room, and I listened to this again last night, and it's absolutely tremendous. It's one of those albums that when it came out, I disposed of it as saying, oh, it's just country American rubbish. But no, this guy, he knows his onions, and he researches his songs. He writes great words, as we know, and he gets together the best guys around to play this sort of music, and he fronts it with that very, very typical Elvis style vocal. National Ransom, and it's on number 5. To number 4 now, and another gem in this year's countdown. This is by Tracy Thorn, and it's called Love and Its Opposites. Tracy, of course, was half of the very, very popular and successful duo Everything But the Girl with her husband, Ben Watt. But she's been going solo now, and I think this might be her second album, and it is absolutely first class. It's less of the sort of disco synth style, which her previous one is. This is more about solid songs that are of a soft rock aspect, but also ballads. She's a killer for ballads, and if you're into if you're into lyrics, then this is your cup of tea. Tracy does a number of songs which basically put your finger on how it feels to be a woman growing old, and she touches on divorce, separation, childhood, aging, and You Are a Lover is a great song. Singles Bar, I love that one. You can probably guess what that's about. And Hormones are the standouts in a truly 5-star album. Love and Its Opposites by Tracy Thorn. 3 to go, and at number 3 is another album that I've reviewed, and the link will be in the description. It's called The Sea, and it's the second album by Corinne Bailey Rae. Now, second it might be, but there was a hell of a delay, almost a decade, following her solo record, which was hugely successful. We were all waiting with bated breath, and of course this basically is about her loss, her husband's death some 9 years earlier, and how she recovered, and she wrote a batch of songs, and it's truly wonderful. She's got a wonderful voice. It's very jazz at times, very R&B, very folk, and she has a terrific band, and she writes all the material. Paris Nights, New York Mornings is a standout, as is Closer and Are You Here, which is very much a lament to her deceased husband. And then the title track, which just is so moving. It brings me to tears. The second album by Corinne Bailey Rae from Leeds in the UK, and it's called The Sea. To number 2 now, Tom Petty, Mojo. Well, took a while for me to get into this Tom Petty album, but it really deserves a number of listens. It's very typical of their later material, very solid rock, very solid blues, country, very tight arrangements, extremely powerful guitars. Ben Montage on keyboards is a standout, and of course Tom runs the show. First Flash of Freedom, standout. Running Man's Bible, and I Should Have Known It. Great album. One that many people didn't really sort of hear or didn't buy, or it got lost really, but it's my number 2. So did my number 1 then, and this is another album that I have reviewed, and there is a link in the description. It's Dream Attic by Richard Thompson. Over the years, Richard and I have had a love affair over his music. His 5-star skill as a guitar player is beyond question, but his writing ability to create the sort of stories that are magical to hear is beyond anything else I've heard. And this is once again a very tight collection of songs with high quality musicianship and brilliant stories, touching on crime, touching on money, touching on politics, love, loss, you name it, Richard's covered it. If Love Whispers Your Name is the standout, as is Crime Scene, and I love Burning Man and The Money Shuffle. So there we are. That's a quick breeze through 2010, my top 10, although I stumbled at the beginning. I hope you can get to listen to some of these albums. Lots of people on the VC seem to have given up on music beyond 1999, but you're missing out. There's a tremendous amount of talented music in this millennium, And this is my selection from 2010.